Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Insta-reftaco, and today we're back with another video, and the draft is 3 days away. It is so close. We are almost there. And yeah, so I really wanted to get out a mock draft right before the draft, as I do most years. Most years I do 2. This year, I'm going to do 3 because I know 3 rounds worth of prospects, and if you ain't improving, come on. It's about improvement, you know? But yeah, I am going off of what I think the teams will do, predicting the pick. There is trades in this, 3 rounds. With that being said, let's get right into it. Pick 1 is Cam Ward. I've got 101 other picks to go over, so I don't need to go in depth on this. Cam Ward, it's the number 1 pick. It's been the number 1 pick ever since I picked Travis Hunter in the first mock. Number 2 is Travis Hunter. He's going to go to the Cleveland Browns. We've heard the Browns talk very nicely about Travis Hunter. Andrew Berry talking about he wants him as a receiver and a corner. And if you're not going to let him play receiver and corner, there isn't really a reason to take him this high. I think that the Browns want that. I think that with the Myles Garrett extension kind of locked up, I don't think they'll take Abdul Carter. I think they will take Travis Hunter. And number 3, that leaves the Giants with 1 option. That's Abdul Carter. Yes, they have edge rushers. I think Thibodeau is not going to get re-signed. I think he's very expendable. Could possibly be a trade piece. But you always want more D linemen where you can get him. And Abdul Carter is the best player in this draft. You cannot pass up on top-tier talent at this selection. You can't be taking an offensive tackle at 3. Yes, maybe they could trade out of it, but we don't see a lot of trades this early in the draft. I don't see that continuing. I see the Giants picking the best player on the board, and that's Abdul Carter. Number 4, I have the New England Patriots going Will Campbell. They're going to boost their offensive line here. Drake May, he needs an offensive line. Last year was bad. I think their left tackle was Kadarian Lowe. Oh, people don't care about the arm length stuff with him. It's stupid. Will Campbell can ball. He's athletic. He can ball. Yeah. He's good in the pass and run game. The Patriots need that. The Patriots will get that. At number 5, I have the Jags getting Mason Graham. Kind of just the best player on the board is going to fall to them. They don't need a lot of stuff, really, when you look at the roster, but D-tackle is something that they could get, and so they are going to fill it with Mason Graham. Excellent run defender. I think he can improve in his pass rush game, but I think that he will be good enough in it. And when you have Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen, do you really have to be great at it? They need a run defender. They're going to get Mason Graham. And number 6, the Raiders will take Ashton Jeanty, the best running back in college, snubbed to the Heisman, best RB in this draft. The Raiders, we see them just kind of neglect running back in free agency. They're not going to go into the year with Raheem Mostert. We know how Pete Carroll loves to run the ball, and that's what's going to happen here with the Raiders picking Ashton Jeanty. Just such an explosive back, able to, get through the tackles, able to catch the ball well enough. I think the Raiders will love the way that he plays, and they will get him. At number 7, I have the Jets picking Armand Membu. Membu was actually left out of my last mock draft because when it was early in this period, he was like a 2nd, 3rd round pick, and he's just kept on climbing to now being here, the 2nd best offensive lineman in this draft. The Jets need an offensive lineman. They're not going to trust Chukwuma Okorafor, I think is his name. But yeah, Olu Fashanu's at left tackle. They're going to get another stud starter. That's Armand Membu. And number 8, the Panthers, kind of the top 7 guys for them is off the board, so they're going to pick Jalen Walker. They could really have a choice of almost any edge rusher, but I think that that's where they want to go. They want to go to a stud player on defense. Jalen Walker can give you that. He also has some linebacker versatility, but I think he'll play edge rusher in the league. You're looking at a guy, just a stud in the run. If he needs to drop, he can, but he is going to be a stud. Just a very explosive, good player that the Panthers are going to get. I am all in on the Saints at number 9, picking Shedeur Sanders. I don't think Derek Carr wants to be there. I don't think the Saints like Derek Carr. I think that every time, we say this is the time, they're going to stop, kicking this can down the road thinking, hey, we're going to get 9 wins, we're going to improve. No, rebuild, and I think it's finally going to happen. I think that they're finally going to get the QB of the future, put him in a decent situation. But yeah, that's why I have Shedeur at number 9. At number 10, I have the Bears picking Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren and Ben Johnson is just a perfect fit together. We know the way Tyler Warren likes to be, do all this wildcat weird stuff. And we know the way that Ben Johnson likes to be. And Ben Johnson, he also wants to get in these physical formations. He's going to want a second tight end in there, get in these big body formations, and be able to run the ball. He's a decent run blocker, but also pop out, catch some passes, give Caleb a great young target. And that's why I think that they will pick Tyler Warren, emphasize the offense really with this first-round pick. Then you've got the Niners at number 11. I have them picking Walter Nolan, the D-tackle out of Ole Miss. A lot of people love Walter Nolan, the way that he plays, the size, the explosiveness that he has. If he goes to the right coach, if he develops well enough, he can be a stud in the league. That's what people believe. That's what I believe. And I think that the Niners will take a flyer on that. They need some run defense. They need a guy to stop the run. That's what I mean when I say they need run defense. I think that he's the best player available at that. Also gives you a lot of pass rushing upside. I think they will like Walter Nolan and take him with pick 11. At number 12, I have the Cowboys picking Matthew Golden. They're going to want a weapon. We know the way the Cowboys are. They like skill players. I think that they are going to get a skill player. They've actually drafted linemen recently, but Jerry Jones getting old. He's going to want fun guys. Matthew Golden is a fun guy, a hometown guy, or went to Texas. And yeah, he's going to be a speedster there, a great guy next to CeeDee Lamb. Not exactly a speedster. He's going to be good at a lot of stuff. They're going to be able to use him in a lot of different ways, and I think it's going to work. That's why I have Matthew Golden up here at 12. At 13, I have the Dolphins picking Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan. This was a guy that was a basically solidified top 5 pick going into this year. Didn't have a great year, got hurt. Same with another corner we're about to talk about. But Will Johnson has been a stud for 3 years, was a key piece of a national championship defense, and I see teams really liking multiple years of production. We see the Dolphins trading a corner. They are going to get one in Will Johnson. 14 is the Colts, but I see a team looking at the edge rushing market, looking at the 2 or 3 teams coming up, seeing that they need an edge rusher and jumping them. That's the Tampa Bay Bucks. They're going to trade up with the Indianapolis Colts. It's going to include the Colts getting the Bucks' 3rd round pick, which will be in this mock. And with that 14th pick, they're going to pick Mykel Williams. Mykel Williams doesn't have a great get-off, but Mykel Williams is a dog. Mykel Williams gets it done in the run game, gets it done enough in the pass game. The Bucks are really going to want that. They're going to jump these teams. They are going to get him at pick 14. At 15, you have the Falcons. Their guy got jumped, so they're going to pick Mike Green out of Marshall. This is a guy that has been slowly climbing up draft boards. It's kind of plateaued around here, but a very effective pass rusher. Not the largest. Might get kind of bullied in the run game, but, I mean, he has okay strength, but he can get for a pass. He can get to a quarterback pretty well, and that's what he's going to do with the Falcons at pick 15. At 16, I see the Cardinals actually going with Kelvin Banks. I don't think that any of these edge rushers look too enticing to them. They're going to pick Kelvin Banks here. Kelvin Banks, he's a great offensive lineman. The Cardinals need offensive linemen. They need to build in the trenches. Everybody talks about how, Jonathan Gannon, he's going to want to copy the Eagles style. The Eagles style starts on the O-line. It doesn't start on the D-line. You get 5 good offensive linemen in there. That's what Kelvin Banks can do. Kelvin Banks was a top 10 pick before injuries, and he's kind of slid down and up and down. I think he's going to land around here, and he's going to be a very good player. At number 17, I have the Bengals picking Jahdae Barron. They're going to need a corner. A lot of people have D-line, but I don't really see a D-lineman here for them that they would exactly like. But corner Jahdae Barron, he's just kind of fallen into their laps, and he's an absolute steal. A lot of people have him as their corner one. Great ball skills, great kind of anything, good man, good zone. He can do a lot from that corner position. That's what teams are going to like. That's especially what the Bengals are going to like with whoever their new DC is. I think that Jahdae Barron will work with whoever, and he's going to go 17. Number 18, I have the Lions trading up with the Seahawks. What the Seahawks are going to acquire is not in this draft. They're going to want some picks for next year. They have 2 seconds, 2 thirds, but might as well trade back and get their guy, which I think will be there at 28. The Lions up here will pick Shamar Stewart, the D-end out of A&M. very much a raw traits guy, and that's what some teams love. I think that that's something that the Lions will love. They don't have many needs, but the one position that they do need is an edge rusher, and that is what Shamar Stewart is going to fill up here at pick 18. At pick 19, it's the Colts with their trade with the Bucs, and the guy is going to fall into their lap. That is Colston Loveland. They don't get Tyler Warren. Colston Loveland, though, is able to go to the Colts. Basically, the tight end won the whole actual college football season from Michigan. He's a dog. He's an okay blocking. He could get better at blocking, but he's a great receiving threat. Inline tight end, more, back in the slot. He can do it almost anywhere. I think he'll be a great fit for AR and Shane Steichen. And, that's why I have him here at 19. At pick 20, I have the Broncos going with a running back, Marion Hampton. We know how Sean Payton likes to run the ball. He needs to be able to run the ball. That's something that the Broncos need with the loss of Javonte Williams. You're not going to go into a season trusting Audric Estime and Jaleel McLaughlin. You're going to get a Marion Hampton who, in a lot of people's eyes, slips to 20. He was kind of seen as like an early second. He's definitely jumped up some boards, and now he is here at 20, where the Broncos will be able to steal him and get their running back one. At 21 is the Steelers. I don't see him picking a quarterback. I see them getting Derek Harmon. Derek Harmon has a lot of strong things about him, but it's a player that a team like the Steelers would really like. Derek Harmon, he's able to do a lot of stuff. Sometimes he's a little high, but you're going to want a Cam Hayward high pad level, But you're going to need a Cam Hayward replacement soon. The Steelers love having a good D-line that's able to get after it, especially in the run. And that's what freaking Derek Harmon is going to do. I've messed up everything in this freaking clip. Just go on to the next pick. At 22, I have the Chargers picking Kenneth Grant. Jim Harbaugh and Jesse Minter are able to reunite with the Michigan defensive tackle. A lot more of the pass rusher out of him and Mason Graham. He's able to line up a lot of places. The Chargers will be able to use him in fun ways, get after the quarterback, and that's something that they are going to really like to do. There isn't a tight end on the board for them, so they will settle with Kenneth Grant. And he's kind of fallen until this Packers pick. 23 is going to be Ted McMillan. I see some of the problems with him. He kind of bullies small guys. He doesn't bully big guys despite his frame. There was the thing about him not watching film. But Ted McMillan can be a dog. The Packers are going to take this chance, finally get a real wide receiver one. It feels like they just have a bunch of wide receiver twos. I like Jaden Reed, but apparently the team doesn't that much. But Ted McMillan's going to be a stud at 23. At 24, I have the Vikings trading back. They only have 4 picks this whole draft. The team that's going to trade up is the Kansas City Chiefs. It'll include their third-round pick, the second third-round pick, not the ones that the Chiefs have in the L'Jarius Sneed trade. And they will get Josh Connerly, the offensive tackle out of Oregon, a guy, very good pass blocker, something that they need at that left tackle position. Chiefs had problems with their O-line. I have them trading up because they are scared that, they need an O-lineman to be able to compete next year. That's what Josh Connerly gives you here at pick 24. Another offensive tackle going at 25, and that is Josh Simmons. Same first name, too, going to the Texans. Josh Simmons is a guy where if you interviewed him, I think that that's big for me because of that knee thing. He kind of had a weird thing. Donovan Jackson had to go from guard to tackle to replace him, and he played great. But Josh Simmons, he has that little issue, but if it's fine, and hopefully it is fine, he can be a very good tackle in this league. Somebody that a team like the Texans will take a shot on needing to completely rebuild that offensive line. At 26, I have the Rams taking Jahad Campbell, the linebacker out of Bama. This is a guy that could be used at backer and edge too, and somebody that the Rams will be able to move around, work with nicely. They're going to want pass rush and some linebacker play when needed. Jahad Campbell can provide both. I think he'll be more of a linebacker. I think that the Rams value that. They had Ernest Jones and Bobby Wagner for a while. So they're going to value linebacker. I think that they are going to get it here in Jahad Campbell. And he's the best player available, just pure talent-wise. I think the Rams will like that and take that. Then falling a little because of character concerns, it seems, is James Pierce Jr. He's going to go to the Ravens at pick 27. The Ravens, yes, they have a lot of defensive linemen, But what the Ravens like to do more than any other team, no matter what their need is get the best player on the board. That is what James Pierce Jr. is, and that is what he will provide to the Baltimore Ravens. A guy that's had some character concerns, but if he can fix it, I think that if the Ravens draft it, that means it's kind of, fake news that he will be a stud in this league. Then you have the Seahawks in that Detroit trade. They are going to pick up Gray Zabel. This was kind of their guy all along. Apparently, he fits the Seahawks scheme really well, and you need interior offensive linemen. You have Charles Cross, and that's kind of it, and especially for a guy like Sam Darnold, who we saw what happens when his O-line wasn't holding up. It's a lot worse than what happened when his O-line was holding up. He needs offensive linemen. Gray Zabel will provide that. He's good at a lot of stuff, especially pass pro. So that will be a great pick for Seattle. Donovan Ezeraku will go to the Commies at 29. Donovan Ezeraku, he's a guy who had 16 and a half sacks. He seems like he's a good character, a leader, and the Commies need that kind of edge rusher. They lost Dante Fowler, who ended up being really good. That was one of the reasons why they went so far, was because they had holes that were filled by guys like him. Now you can get that stud edge rusher in Donovan Ezeraku. At 30, I'm actually going to have the Bills trading with the Eagles. The Eagles are going to see the Vikings at 31, and they're going to want to get their safety. I think it's 2 picks. It won't have anything that'll be in this mock, and they will pick up Malachi Starks. My guy the whole time, Malachi Starks. I actually would rather have Emin Worry, but it seems like the Eagles like Starks. Another Georgia dog going to the Eagles. Yeah, and I love it. You need a safety after the CJ trade. It was stupid, but I believe that they will pick up Malachi Starks. Then Minnesota's pick from the Kansas City trade is going to be Nick Emenwari. They're going to take the other safety, and in my opinion, the safety that fits more with Brian Flores' defense, much more of a man coverage guy. One thing I didn't say about Starks, he's kind of a liability in man, which is luckily something the Eagles don't do. But Emenwari can do that in a Flores scheme. He can also get up there in the run game. I think will be a great fit for the Vikings, a team that's going to need a Harrison Smith replacement. They lost Cam Bynum, Metellus. Metellus goes anywhere, so I wouldn't even call him a safety. They're going to get their safety in Nick Emenwari. And then the Bills are going to be at 32. Their guy's still going to land to them, Tyler Booker. They're going to want offensive line, and they are going to fill that need with Tyler Booker. He's a great player, gets it done in the run game. Not really a gap guy, more of his own. He's not fast, but he has the strength, he has the power, and that's something that I think that the Bills will really like. And we are on to the second round. The picks are going to go faster. Yeah. Round 2, I'm going to get through these a little faster, do a few of them at a time, but we will start off with the Browns and Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is a solid quarterback, it seems. He doesn't have that overwhelming trait, that steps out. I don't see one of these teams trading into the first round for him because I don't see a team in the first round really taking them. That's why Jackson Dart is here at 33 for the Browns, who are going to scoop that up. At number 34, I have the Giants picking Donovan Jackson, the guard out of Ohio State. We saw him kick over the tackle, something that the Giants, they need anybody. Donovan Jackson will be able to work. They need anybody on that interior line. That's what Donovan Jackson provides with them. 35, the Titans are going to pick up Luther Burden. They need a receiver. Bad for a young QB in Cam Ward. I think that Luther Burden's that kind of guy, a nice little slot receiver, can do a lot of stuff. And that is going to be fun for the Titans. And then the Jags are going to pick up Emeka Egbuka. Very solid receiver out of Ohio State, can do a lot of stuff. Inside, outside, slot, short, medium, deep. He can do a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff for Jacksonville and Liam Cohen, who's going to want a second wide receiver to Brian Thomas Jr. At pick 37, I have the Raiders going with Siobhan Revel. They needed corner, and Siobhan Revel would be a first-round pick if it wasn't for this injury concern. Also played at a smaller school, and I think that teams won't be too concerned over that. They'll pick Siobhan Revel, who I think can be a steal if he stays healthy. Then the Patriots at pick 38, they're also going to get a corner, go across from Christian Gonzalez. That's going to be Trey Amos. Trey Amos is a dog if he does what he does correctly in the NFL. Great pickup for the Patriots who need a guy. The Bears at 39, they're going to pick up Travion Henderson. Travion Henderson is a dog. I believe that the Bears will want him to be able to work with Swift. They're going to want that bell cow mixed in with that speedy. DeAndre Swift's not a bell cow. They're going to want that speedy power Jahmyr Gibbs guy to go along with Ben Johnson. And then 40, the Saints, they're going to pick up Azariah Thomas. Very good pressy Manny corner. And I think that that'll fit well with the Saints. It's a new defense. It's Brandon Staley, I think, who... But I think Azariah Thomas will fit well with that. He'll be able to do enough. A very good guy from Florida State. The Bears back at 41, they're going to pick JT Tuimoloau. Very good edge rusher out of Ohio State, a guy that sets the edge very well. But again, a good pass rusher, somebody that the Bears need to go across from Montez Sweat. They need to get to the quarterback, and that's going to be crucial for them. The Jets at 42, they're going to pick up a tight end in Mason Taylor, a guy that is known as one of the best receivers in this class out of the tight end position. He's going to go as my tight end 3 here at 42 to the Jets, who need a tight end. They lost Tyler Conklin. The Niners are going to pick a corner in Maxwell Harrison. Obviously, everybody knows, very fast. He's not very physical, but I think that he'll be all right in the Niners defense. And then at pick 44, the Dallas Cowboys are going to go with Nick Scourton. They are going to want a defensive lineman, kind of a DeMarcus Lawrence replacement. Nick Scourton can do that. He's big, he's good in the run, but he can definitely pass rush as well. He was much better at Purdue than he was A&M. I think he'll be fine heading into the league, and it'll be a good pick for Dallas. Boo. At number 45, I'm going to have the Colts picking Marcus Mbao. They need interior offensive line. They lost Ryan Kelly and Will Fries. They're going to pick that up with Marcus Mbao. The Colts need that. At 46, it's going to be the Falcons. They're going to pick Benjamin Morrison, a guy who, as I alluded to earlier, had a great college career until this season, got hurt when he did play. I think that the Falcons will be okay with that. They're going to pick a corner because they need one. The Cardinals are going to pick Tyleik Williams. They're going to want an interior defensive lineman that can get after the quarterback. That's something that he can do. Can also stuff the run pretty well. They're going to want to build from the trenches because they need it. And with 48, it's going to be the Dolphins picking Jonah Savainaya. Offensive line, they need offensive line. They kind of ruined their first pick by wanting to trade Jalen Ramsey to where they can't get offensive line, but they need. Everybody knows that they need it. That's what Savainaya is going to fill. At 49, I have the Bengals picking Xavier Watts, a safety out of Notre Dame. They're going to want a safety. I believe that their DC is actually the old Notre Dame DC, maybe. That could just be completely wrong. But Xavier Watts is a ball player. He doesn't have the traits, but he has the skills we've seen. At pick 50, it's going to be the Seahawks with Ariante Ursary. Very good offensive tackle. Gets the job done. More of a power guy than a speed guy. But he can do what he needs to do. That team needs offensive line. At pick 51, it's going to be the Broncos with Kyle Williams, a receiver out of Wazoo that has just gotten so much hype recently. They're going to want Bo Nix to get another weapon, more of an outside weapon. They have a ton of little tiny slot guys. They're going to want another guy on the outside. I think that he can provide that pretty well. And then the Seahawks, again, this is the Steelers pick from the DK Metcalf trade. They're going to pick up Landon Jackson, a solid DN out of Arkansas. I think that the Seahawks, they're going to want a defensive guy definitely in this draft. They don't have a lot of D-line. They are going to want Landon Jackson. At pick 53, I have the Bucks picking Jalen Noel. They have the two outside guys. They're going to want a slot dude. That's what Jalen Noel can do. Just a very effective slot receiver over at Iowa State. Fast, good. That's why they're going to pick him. At pick 54, it's going to be the Packers with Darius Alexander. They're going to want interior defensive line. They lost TJ Slayton, I think. Devontae Wyatt's kind of a bum. They're going to want a guy, Darius Alexander, can stop the run very well. Then you look at the Chargers. They're going to pick Elijah Arroyo at pick 55. They need a tight end. Wasn't able to get one in the first round. Elijah Arroyo is a good receiving threat, a good blocking threat. Seems like just a physical guy. And then at pick 56, it's going to be the Bills. They're actually going to pick Caleb Johnson. James Cook, he doesn't want to be there, it seems, for some reason. Buffalo seems like a great organization. They're going to pick up more of a workhorse power back to kind of work with Josh Allen's kind of power style. They're still going to have Ray Davis there. That is why I have that here at 56. At number 57, I have the Panthers picking Darian Porter. They got this pick from the Rams. They need a corner. They need anything on defense, and that's what Darian Porter provides, kind of just a BPA on defense. He gets it done over there at corner at Iowa State. At 58, it's Wyatt Millum. That team needs offensive line. He can kind of swing a lot of places. He will probably have to be a day one starter. He's decent enough. Look at the Ravens at 59. They're going to pick Alfred Collins, the interior defensive lineman. They lost Alec Pierce. They're going to want to Michael Pierce. They're going to want to replace that, get that push up there on that D-line, something that's been so consistently good with the Baltimore Ravens. And then at pick 60, the Lions are also going to want to get a D-lineman. This is TJ Sanders out of South Carolina. TJ Sanders, he can make it work in the run. Again, that's what they need. That's what they are going to pick up. At 61, the Commanders get a running back in Quinshad Judkins. I don't think that they'll keep Brian Robinson past this year. He just doesn't seem like a guy that seems like a re-sign. Quinshad Judkins can get that job done. Definitely more of a physical back. You don't think of it with all these NCAA spins that he was doing, but he can definitely get it done. The Bills at 62 have another pick. They're going to get interior defensive line with Omar Norman Lott, a guy that can pass rush, but also, as most of these interior defensive linemen can do, run, defend. That's what they need, but he can rush that quarterback well. The Chiefs, they lost Justin Reed. They're going to pick up Andrew Makuba, the safety out of Texas. Everybody's out of Texas, apparently, man. There was like 15 dudes. But Andrew Makuba, he's a dog. Enough said. The Eagles at pick 64, they're going to luck out with Harold Fannin. They need a tight end. They hired Bowling Green's head coach to be some offensive assistant stuff. I think that he's going to want Harold Fannin, the entire Bowling Green offense. He works, and he is good over here at 64. Then it's round 3 at 65. I think the Giants will want a receiver. They're going to pick Jack Beck. They're going to want a guy to, be on the other side of Malik Neighbors. Wandale is kind of finding the slot. They're going to pick Jack Beck. The Chiefs, they got this pick from the Titans, are going to pick Princely Umanmielen. Princely is a dog. Princely gets it done. And the Chiefs, they need an edge rusher. They just need another guy that can get after the quarterback. A big issue in the Super Bowl, but also the whole season with them. 67, the Browns are going to want a running back. They're going to pick Scattaboo. Cam Scattaboo, he's going to be there, just a hard-nosed. I mean, we all saw it. Power, dog. And at 68, the Raiders are going to pick Tate Ratledge, the guard. Tate Ratledge, he gets it done. They need interior offensive line besides JPJ at center. I think they signed Alex Kappa. They still need another dude. That is what Tate Ratledge is going to do. And it's always fine to get a nice, solid, rotational guy on that O-line. 69, I have the Patriots getting a receiver for Drake May and Trey Harris. More of a downfield, outside receiver. I think that it's going to work here at 69 with the Patriots. At 70, the Jags are going to pick Jacob Parrish, a corner out of Kansas State who is a stud, a little undersized, but he definitely makes it work, and I really like him as a prospect. That's why I have him up here so high. I think that a team will too. The Jags need a corner. You look at the Saints at 71. They're going to get Cameron Williams, also out of Texas. Offensive tackle. They need offensive line help. Kind of obvious. Trevor Penning doesn't cut it. And then the Bears at 72. They're going to pick Charles Grant, another offensive lineman out of William and Mary, a D2 school, or maybe an FCS school. I know that the Bears can't really develop offensive linemen, but I think that they could. That's what they're going to get with Charles Grant. The Jets at 73, I have them taking a swing at Jalen Milroe, the quarterback out of Bama. Guy makes plays with his legs. Definitely like a power runner, like a Jalen Hurts if it works well, like a Cam Newton if it works well. Maybe one of these goal line battering rams. They're going to want a young QB to develop behind Justin Fields. That's what they're going to get with Jalen Milroe. Pick 74, the Panthers, they're going to get a receiver in Jaden Higgins. Kind of an outside guy because they have Thielen in the slot. They are going to want another guy for Bryce Young to throw to because you need that for a young QB. They got the O-line. Now they're getting the receivers. I think he's pretty good. Dylan Sampson. Oh, wait. 75 is R.J. Harvey to the 49ers. R.J. Harvey, a dog out of UCF, got a lot of rushing yards. I don't think the Niners really know what's going on with CMC, so they're going to take a shot on him. And then 76, the Cowboys with Dylan Sampson. Sampson, guy out of Tennessee, they ran the ball a lot with, so much that the quarterback was transferred. Pick 77, the Patriots are going to get Will Howard, actually. Backup QBs are important, okay? They're going to get a backup QB. There isn't really a player here that fills a need to a great extent. Might as well get a backup QB. The Cards at 78 are going to get Josiah Stewart. They're going to want D-line. Again, build through there. Edge from Michigan gets it done. At 79, the Texans are going to take Jalen Royal, a small, fast receiver out of Utah State. I think that he will get the job done. That's kind of what I'm saying for all these dudes. I know more about the team than I do the prospect at this point. But yeah, you look at the Colts at 80, they're going to pick Gunnar Helm, a second tight end, because I kind of forgot that they drafted the first one. I can't go back now, but Gunnar Helm is a dog. He's more of a blocking tight end for Colston Loveland's receiving skills. You look at the Bengals at 81, they're going to pick up Jack Sawyer. They need an edge rusher. It wasn't really the spot for one in the first 2 rounds. They get one here in round 3. The Seahawks are going to pick up Kevin Winston. They could get a safety, other side of Julian Love, or just get a depth piece because if Kevin Winston wasn't hurt, I think that could be a very solid safety there for Seattle. The Steelers are going to pick up Tyler Show. That is going to be their quarterback, Tyler Show. I think that I've heard a lot of good things about him, very pro-ready QB. They're going to want somebody behind Mason Rudolph who can step in and win 9 games. That's what Tyler Show can do. Then the Colts have this pick from the Bucks in that earlier trade we went over. This is Carson Schwessinger. They lost E.J. Speed. They really like their linebackers. They like to draft them, develop them. They care about them. They care about having multiple of them. Carson Schwessinger, very good in the run. I'm going to learn how to say his name. Number 85, I have the Broncos picking Jared Wilson. You're going to need offensive line help for Bo Nix always. Yes, they have some good offensive linemen. It's always good to get depth. The defense doesn't need much that you can get at this point. Might as well get some depth on that offensive line. The Chargers are going to pick up Shamar Turner out of A&M. Another one of those guys gets after the quarterback. That's what the Chargers need. You look at 87, the Packers are going to get Jordan Burch. They're always going to want edge rusher. I kind of would have had one in the first for them if Tet McMillan didn't get picked. But he did, so that kind of crushed that. And then the Jags, they got this pick from the Vikings in the Cam Robinson trade, are going to pick Ozzie Trapillo. I don't know if Anton Harrison's long-term or Walker Little's long-term, but the Jags are going to want a guy. That's what Ozzie Trapillo provides. Again, just a depth offensive lineman, which is always good in the NFL. The Texans at 89 are going to get Joshua Farmer, the D-tackle out of Florida State. They need D-line help, not really those edges, but in the interior, they could use a guy. That's what Josh Farmer is for them. The Rams at 90, I have them picking Quinn Ewers. I think that they're going to want to develop a quarterback, get one this draft. Quinn Ewers is definitely developable. Developable. You see the plays where he can do a lot, and then you see some plays that are just like, oh, come on, Quinn. And that is what he does. I think that the Rams could get the plays out of him, and it could really work. The Ravens at 91 are going to pick Emory Jones. Again, never bad to get some O-line help in this league. Lost to Voorhees, Macari. They need a guy that could, be in there for depth. And then the Seahawks at 92, they got this pick in the Geno Smith trade. Eric Ayon-Mayor, Cooper Kupp and JSN are both kind of slot receivers. I think that they're going to want an outside guy. That's what Eric Ayon-Mayor can do out of Stanford. 93, I have the Saints picking Jared Ivey. They're going to want a DN. They got this pick from the commies somewhere. Chase Young? No, because Chase Young went free. I don't know. But Jared Ivey, solid D end out of wherever it says right. Oh, Ole Miss. Ole Miss, very solid D end, gets it done. Look at the Browns at 94. They got this pick from the Bills. Vernon brought in. They're going to want an interior defensive lineman. They have Michael Hall, his name is, but they don't really have a stud guy. Lost Dalvin Tomlinson. They're going to want a guy. Vernon Broughton can get that. Also get in there in the pass rush game. The Vikings, they got this pick in the trade from earlier in the video, are going to get Miles Frazier. Offensive line never hurts. So they are going to pick an offensive lineman. And then the Eagles at 96 are going to pick Femi Oladejo. He's a guy who, was kind of a linebacker turned D end. He can make it work, fits the Fangio scheme. Yeah, I like the pick for the Eagles. That's why I picked it. Let me run through these compensatories. The Vikings at 97 are going to get Brady Swinson. They lost Pat Jones. They're just going to want another edge rusher. Dolphins, offensive line, Anthony Belton out of NC State is big. You always need offensive line. The Giants at 99 are going to pick Noel Williams, the corner out of Cal. You can always use a corner. Deontay Banks was really it. They kind of need another outside. Oh, they signed a Debo. You need corner depth all the time. Noel Williams, BPA, he's getting picked. The Niners at 100 are going to pick up Dylan Fairchild. Lost Aaron Banks. Again, offensive line depth. Never a problem. The Rams at 101 are going to pick up Jordan Phillips. They lost Poona Ford, or they got Poona Ford, one of the two. But, again, interior defensive line, something that teams like. They're going to fill it up. And then the Lions at 102, they're going to get Za Frazier, the corner out of UTSA. They need corners. We all know they need corners. They are going to pick up a corner. That is going to be it for this video. Hope that you guys enjoyed. If it did, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I will see you on the next one. There will be a lot of content post-draft. But, yeah, that's it for this video. Peace.